Hello and welcome to another session of Destiny of the Force, our Star Wars tabletop RPG campaign set 80 years after Return of the Jedi. Well, almost 80 years. Yeah. Here today with awesome players, Gareth, Jessica, Jonathan, Matthew, Preston, and Valerie. And last we've left our heroes. They were split across the galaxy, Sol and Grumblock, on the world of Aethys with Sol's apprentice Rey, currently in the midst of fighting two foes. The mysterious Arcos Vane, who has taken a gauntlet relic from Sith ruins, and the Revenant and his ally Carrie, who seem obsessed with capturing Rey. But we will begin today on Rossaswai, the red, pink, and purpled colored world of nobility, floral beauty, and at present, the Floralite Festival, held once every decade to celebrate the artistry and wonder of the planet, but also in the last few to celebrate the now disappeared Jedi Queen, Allana Solo. Her daughters, Sidani Jo and Venata Solo, are here to help honor their mother and celebrate the festival along with their friends Talia, Zura, and Castum. But as they've been enjoying the festival, they've run into old friends, rogue performers, Phoenix and Safra, as well as encountering a rather critical man who calls himself Gideon Organa. Suspicious of Gideon, Castum and Zura investigated him while the others prepared to watch the evening festivities. Although they didn't pursue him too far, he took a private skiff out onto the water to watch the festivities from a distance. As Zura headed back to join the others, Castum decided to stay upon seeing a suspicious Nautilin and following him onto a larger skiff carrying many more people. So as we go in onto Rossaswai, pink and red flower petals littering the much darker street than we last saw it. Evening starting to fall on the planet. The center square where Sidani and Safra had previously danced has now been transformed into an evening stage with lights, and the same troupe of aerial performers are now lit themselves with small crystals or lanterns. It's quiet, calm, the music subtle, as Talia and Sidani, you have been invited along with Venata to the sponsors viewing stand as the honored guests that you are. You have a good view of everything happening while also being close enough that if any of the aerial performers flew by, they could practically touch you and where you're at. Zura, you're on one of the more standard viewing stands across the way. You have view of both the waterfront area where the skiffs are, as well as the stand where Sidani, Talia, and Venata are. Talia, you recognize the woman that you are seated near to be the one who was talking with Gideon before you met him. Her dress is made of dark reds and blues. A little more striking than you saw her earlier. Clearly had a changed dress. And done up in such a way that you have a feeling she's probably fairly important to the events. And you can see that she's preparing to speak. Sidani, you obviously are near her as well. Venata is closest to her, sitting next to her.
All right.
Fascinating.
But, yeah, so Talia, if you wish to speak to Sidani or etc., you can currently. Venata is speaking to what seems to be like an organizer-like person. You can't tell what she's saying right now.
Yeah, I think she'll kind of note the woman with the casual little nod if she's seen, but just kind of looks at Sid like, anything exciting you think is going to happen tonight? Outside of our many encounters so far.
Well, we saw the dances and whatnot. That's exciting. This entire evening's been exciting. So, I'm eager to see what they have next in store.
It's certainly nice to see you enjoying yourself and stealing the spotlight along the way.
Sid gives a rather mischievous grin. You can't steal what's been given to you.
I suppose that's true enough. But otherwise, Talia's just gonna kind of watch and keep a casual eye on the other lady.
Okay. The event organizer finishes speaking to Venata and moves away, and she would turn to the two of you and mostly focused on Sidani and says, well, I've ensured that we don't have to speak, only wave.
Well, that's good. I didn't have a speech prepared anyway. Sid will kind of reach her hand up to touch her hair. Everything's still in place. Everything's still good.
Venata gives a soft smile. Yes, yes.
You look beautiful, Sid. Don't worry.
I take my role as eye candy very seriously.
Venata adjusts her half cape very subtly to that remark and then leans back slightly. So as the festivities seem to be starting to take a shift, you can hear the drums beating just a little bit more loudly, like they're trying to get people's attention. Zura, what are you doing from your watching area? It's a standing room only. Seating's reserved for where everyone else is, but
Zura probably has her tracking goggles on, kind of listening in with her 3-mal comlink just on like general knowledge about how the parades and the festivities are going. Just keeping an eye out for anything remotely suspicious.
okay. Make a perception check against 3 red, 2 purple, and 3 black.
Those black. Much of it's like environmental and stuff. For
1 is darkness.
okay, I think I can get rid of all those black then between the goggles and keen-eyed.
Okay.
You said 2 red, 3 purple?
3 red, 2 purple.
Okay. And do I get the boost die from the goggles for looking for prey, or is that
You have
No.
to know what you're looking for that.
Gotcha. Huh.
From your position, you find you have a very good view of all the skiffs out on the waterfront. You're able to identify the one that Castum is in and that he's in it, as well as the dark green Nautilin that you and he kind of bumped into.
I think I'm going to try my natural hunter to do a reroll
Okay.
on that. Well, I tried. Sorry for telling you about that a little late. It's just I still don't know my character too much.
It's okay. Yeah, that the description that I was saying stands. That's pretty much all you can notice outside of what's very clearly around you with the festivities.
All right.
There's just too much noise from all the spinning lights and musical performances. You can't even pick out scents because of all the flowers and perfumes. Okay. And so now we go out onto the waterfront with Castum. So your skiff has about a dozen people on it. Could reasonably hold probably a dozen more. It's fairly large. And so you're able to be fairly spaced out if you want to be on it. There's some standing room and some sitting area. So what are you doing and how are you approaching?
Yeah, I don't want to be standing like right next to him, so.
Okay.
I'm gonna try and keep a couple people between us, like 1 or 2, to obscure his vision of me.
Okay.
And just try to keep track of what he's doing and see if there's anything suspicious he's trying to do. And I'm assuming that it's a little too far away to do a perception check for Gideon's private skiff.
No, you could do one.
Oh,
You
okay,
all have to be in range of the festivities, so that you can't be too far away from each other. You know, he's far enough away for seclusion. It was more of that he got a smaller one. It was like the more unusual part is just that he demanded it be empty.
Mm-hmm.
So his is smaller than yours. It probably could have only held like half dozen people anyway, but
Yeah, all right,
so.
then I guess I'll try to do a perception check.
Okay. Just to see him or any or
See if he's doing anything suspicious, I guess.
okay. So that'll be a 5 difficulty, 1 setback check.
Is the setback environmental?
Yes. So you can see him sitting out on the skiff. He appears to be using binoculars. That's about it.
Okay.
He's sitting very proper and straight back and just using you can't tell what model, but binoculars.
All right.
Yep. As for your Nautilin, you see him looking around very shakily. He keeps looking back at what's going on up at the festivities, but you also see him like his eyes keep darting toward the tree line on the opposite side of the water from the festival center, where you can kind of see some marshland as the purple water mixes in with the red trees, and there's some kind of crimson moss kind of and some dark blue kind of algae-like looking stuff kind of mixed in.
Oh,
And
since I don't... Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, and he seems to be really kind of looking over there more and more, and it appears to you that he is heading toward that side of the skiff-like area and looking out in that direction.
Yeah, I was gonna calm Zura to look that direction, considering I don't have macro binoculars, and that wouldn't really matter.
Yeah, that might be too far even for me. I can make the attempt at where I'm at, but you know it's gonna be pretty hard.
I imagine it's gonna be easier than if I just tried to do a perception check for that area from where I'm at.
Well, Zura, you can start looking in that direction, yeah, if you want. No check presently though. Castum, you would see the Nautilin shake off his coat and straight up just vault over the side of the skiff and dive into the water.
Okay, I'm definitely gonna calm that also back to the group. That makes me a tad bit nervous that there, for some reason, might be a bomb on this skiff. Could I do a quick perception check for that?
Yeah, as you see him dive into the water very well, I mean, he's a nautilin, he's an amphibious species, he just smoothly, like, dives in and gets up, and you see he starts swimming toward the marshland area. As for you, yeah, you can check out your surroundings. That would be, 2 difficulty, 2 setback.
Again, from environmental.
1 is due to people. Just all the other people around
Okay.
would make it hard to look around. Okay, so yeah, as you're searching around the skiff, nothing seems amiss, but you are able to kind of get over to the Nautilin's coat and kind of check it out. It seems to be a fairly standard code. It doesn't seem like anything's hidden in it or anything strange about it. But it's fairly well made to your understanding, and definitely seems like something one wouldn't just discard unless they had a reason.
I guess I'd just kind of calm again and see if Zora can see the Nautilin and where he's going. In the marsh.
So, okay, so Zura, to try to see the Nautilin will be a 4 red, 4 black check.
Oh God.
Alright.
You do get a boost from your goggles now, though, because you're looking for someone specific.
Remove 2 black from keen-eyed. And the other 2, would that be concealments, anything like that, or would it just be non-environmental?
One is still darkness related. The other is due to the fact that he's just in the water and it'd be difficult to see. So yeah. Yeah, I'd say. Do you have any other ways to remove setbacks? It sounded like you did before.
Yeah, I got 2 from keen-eyed and removed 2 also from dark. I think concealments, mist, fog.
Yeah,
see
I'd
the
say
whole
you
thing.
can clear all. Then yeah. So it's just 4 red. And you get the boost.
Outstanding.
The tracker is overwhelmed, everybody.
I'm sorry
Yeah,
for asking
so,
you to do that.
No, because
So you hear a small firework go off from the display in the middle, and it completely surprises you, catches you off guard. By the time you regain your bearings and kind of keep yourself from falling off the side of the thing in surprise, off the stand in surprise, by the time you look out again, you have no sight or sign of the Nautilin. You completely lost track. Same goes for you, Custom. Since you were looking at the jacket and everything, you lost track of where he was at.
well, can I don't know how dangerous this water is, but put on the aqua breather and go into the river and swim in the direction of that marsh.
You can, but it will take a while to climb down from the stand and get in the water and start swimming. So
That's absolutely fine.
okay. Then yeah, you start heading toward the stand to start climbing down, as you are,
I'll
the-
let Cass know about this.
Okay. Talia and Sid, both of you and Venata are watching what's going on, and you see the little firework flares go off, and the dancers start spinning. Sidani, you're almost certain. The dancers all go by too fast, but you're almost certain that Saphra is one of them.
Sid gives a quick clap of her hands as the fireworks go off and the show begins.
Yeah, the dancers are all wearing a more kind of silver and pink kind of outfit, so that they reflect the light more. And yeah, so as the drums start beating louder and the whole environment begins to get a little more charged as everyone believes things are starting, you see stepping out onto kind of a stage point, Venata gets very curious very quickly as you see a single figure emerge, mostly dressed in black, but with kind of some pink and silver ribboning to still reflect the light. You see Phoenix. He puts his arms out in the air, kind of getting the attention of the crowd, and kind of yelling out. He appears to be heading toward a stand with an amplifier so that you can actually hear him talk, but you can, having seen him before in an arena setting, you can imagine that this is similar to what he would do there.
Mm-hmm. Sid gives Venata a playful nudge.
He's watching.
Talia's just shaking her head at those two.
So, as he approaches his amplifier, you see the lady that was mentioned earlier, the one that had been speaking to Gideon. You see her standing up and moving toward the edge of your viewing platform, toward a spot that seems kind of designed for people to stand. And you see the lights, some lights nearby you kind of move to spotlight her. All the people around are cheering and yelling. And as Phoenix reaches his point, you hear him kind of call out to the crowd, and he speaks in a few different languages, probably the different languages that you can hear through here. It's all very excited, but finally he gets to basic. And he says, "And to all else, welcome to the opening event of the Floralite Festival. I'd like to thank most of all the sponsor for tonight's events." And he kind of points up and toward the lady and says, "Lady Farah Nanalok, the great and wondrous of Asaswai." And you see her just kind of waving. "It is an honor to perform for you and your guests tonight." And you hear the drums beat louder and some more flares go off, as clearly the show's kind of beginning, even as he's still speaking. And she isn't talking, but she is there, and you see her kind of nod to one of the organizers after a moment, and some of the lights move to put the Sidani and Venata in focus. Talia, you're getting kind of the ring edge of the light where it'd be almost half blinding. And as the light's kind of coming down, he says, "And it is a great pleasure as well," you hear Phoenix call out, "to perform for the Hapen princesses, our guests, and the daughters of the Jedi Queen, the Roseblade that you all so adore. I hope you enjoy this too." Venata stands up and kind of mimics what Lady Farah was doing.
Sid does as well. She stands up, waves to the crowd, and she'll even blow a few kisses into the crowd just randomly.
And that the festivities begin. You see a big hit of the drums, big flare from the stage, and Lady Farah scream out in pain as a quick blaster shot seems to clip her shoulder, and she kind of spins and falls to the side.
I'll grab Venata and try to get us both as low as possible for cover.
Yeah, Talia gets to her feet in an instant and tries to stand over the rest of the crowd. Or not the crowd, the lady, and make sure Sid and Venata are okay, but I have no cunning. I can't do a perception check.
So some of the crowd reacts, most of the crowd seems too caught up in everything going on. Like, it's pretty much only the people who are up there with you in the viewing stand who have even noticed that this is going on. Castum, you would have noticed what looked like a blaster bolt coming from the marsh while you were looking around trying to find the Nautilin. But you're not sure what happened or where it went. Zura, as you're heading toward the waterfront, you would have seen the same thing. But yeah, as everything is kind of seeming to be kicking off with the whole event performance, Talia, the lady is definitely hurt, but is okay as far as living status goes, but she seems to be in a lot of pain.
Yeah, Talia would I guess try and get her to some better cover first, and then probably force heal her just to try and help her.
Yeah, as you're looking at her, you are quickly noticing that had the shot been even just a little more to the side, she would be dead.
Definitely getting her better cover then. Just, this stand is no longer safe, so.
Is anyone else up there? I imagine Sid's mostly focused on Venata, but does anyone else seem affected?
No one else is hurt. Everyone, like, most of the kind of people who weren't very close or are clearly like other nobles or important people are doing what you are doing with Venata, either hiding or moving away. A few of the security people are trying to come over to where Talia and the lady are, but obviously with all the other people moving around, that's difficult.
Okay.
But yeah, as far as you are concerned, Talia, one more wound dealt to her would have ended her.
Ooh.
So whoever was shooting, yeah. So, as you are trying to move her away, you said you wanted to do a force heal.
Yeah, I think that's best.
All right, go ahead and roll it.
Quick question. While she's doing that, can I quickly check and see if Gideon's going to doing anything?
One
And-
moment. Okay, so you said and?
If after that, if I could, I don't know, like somehow stealth check into the water so I could go to the waterfront where that shot came from.
No, the shot came from the marsh where the Nautilin went.
Oh yeah, sorry, the marsh. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Waterfront's where Zura's at. Okay, as far as what you see, so Talia, how many wounds is that for
8.
healed? Okay. Yeah, as you're moving her kind of her hair is clearly messed up by the sudden shock and movement, but you can see the like expression of pain kind of subside a bit from her face. She's still wincing, but not quite as bad. And the area where she's shot, you just see the wound as your hand glows lightly. You see the wound begin to close up and heal, not fully, but it's a lot better. As she is considerably less injured than before, and much like with Gideon, appears to be in her 30s, if you had to guess. And she's just nodding to you and thanking you very quietly as the two of you move toward an escape area where the security officers are trying to direct you to. Sid, are you moving with Venata that same way?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I have my reservations that we might be going into a trap, but
Right. And then as for Castum, you see Gideon react very suddenly to what happened, and you see him asking the driver, he's still maintaining like full composure, but he's asking the driver very clearly to take him toward the waterfront, toward what happened.
Okay.
So Gideon, you would see, by the time you're getting ready to go into the water, you'd see Gideon's skiff racing off toward the edge, and Zura, you would see it approaching you. So yeah, Custom, so you want to dive in. You can't make a stealth check until after you're already swimming.
I figured, but I had to ask.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just didn't want to get noticed going into the water.
Kind of hard not kind of hard to do that stealthily, yeah. But yeah, okay. You can go ahead and roll a stealth check though, I suppose. So go ahead and roll it against 4 red.
That's it, just 4 red.
Yes, that's all.
It just sounded like you were gonna say something else. That's why I was
No,
making sure.
I often do, but in this case, no. Well, you get a nice, good, clean dive.
I don't know if I want to re-roll. Oh, never mind. I can't even re-roll that. Never mind.
But it does splash just enough that if anyone was looking for you, they probably noticed. So as you start swimming toward the marsh area, Zura, you would be reaching the. If you didn't stop moving due to the shot, you would see Gideon's skiff basically approaching the waterfront and stopping and him getting off of it as quickly as possible and seeming to head toward the area that everyone else is evacuating from. The event is still, by the way, in full swing. No one's noticed what's going on.
It's kind of a thing between moving fast and looking or moving slow and looking. So,
Are you still wanting to head toward the marsh area, or has your focus changed?
Focus hasn't changed.
Okay. So yeah, Gideon wouldn't pay you any mind and would just be walking right past you toward the evacuation area. What are you doing as you reach the water?
Am I like on the waterfront or the marsh so far?
What do you mean?
Like, where am I at to relation to where I wanted to be?
You're not in the water yet. So you're basically where Gideon's skiff just stopped at the edge of the stone part of the waterfront. You'd be right next to the water. The marsh would be basically across the river from where you're at.
How big is this river?
Pretty decent. They have to use skiffs.
But I guess I'm just gonna, if the skiff driver is he still on it?
Yes.
This got a lot more complicated real quick. Zura is just going to hop on the skiff Gideon just left, look at the driver, and point towards the marsh. Someone fired a blaster over there.
And you see him kind of. It seems like he's just in shock in general from what's going on. But he just kind of gives you the equivalent of okay and sort of expression.
Just move aside. Zura's going to try to commandeer it.
Oh, okay. So, it'll be 2 difficulty, 1 setback to pilot it. He won't interfere with you. Okay, so
I assume piloting planetary.
yes. And okay, yeah, you kind of your inexperience shows, so you kind of don't do it the prettiest, but you are able to sort of turn and steer and shift the skiff and begin getting it moving toward the marsh area. Talia, you're now close together with Sidani and Venata again as you all and Lady Farah reach the ground. And you see and hear Gideon approaching. He's calling out like loudly but still like calmly. Lady Farah! Lady Farah! He kind of is moving past and through security people until he gets up right close to her and thus you all, and he kind of gives you, Talia, a brief look of, oh, you again. And bit more pleasant of a look towards Sidani and Venata. Not much better. He seems mostly concerned about the lady, and he turns to her and say, "Are you all right?" And she just kind of nods slowly. Thanks to this Jedi, yes.
She was lucky. And she to the left, it would have killed her.
We must get you out of here immediately.
Talia just kind of looks at Venata and Sidani really quickly.
You wouldn't happen to know why someone might try to kill her, do you?
She's a very important person. Can talk more as we move.
Works for me.
Lead on.
So you can see him kind of...
Where are we moving to, though?
You can see him kind of directing and moving the security personnel a little bit. They're still very clearly following a specific evacuation plan. It's kind of... Right now, the group of you with the security officials are kind of going around a corner and kind of getting away from the main event area. You can see the dancers still performing. There's no immediate sign of Phoenix or Safra, though, if you look for either of them.
And the security personnel do seem to be listening to him.
They do appear to be listening to him, but they aren't changing. You can tell they're not changing what they would be doing, but they're listening. He seems to be telling them about what location to take her to, but they're still following whatever their plan was.
Okay.
So you can
And
tell
what's the
any direction that he is giving them wouldn't come into effect until later.
Gotcha.
He's asking to take her to a small kind of what would basically be a hotel-like area not too far away, because the main city area is a bit further away and is a lot denser in the streets due to everything going on right now. So it's a small kind of hotel-like resort, fairly private one, out on the edge of the water.
That seemed like a safe house. Can I make a discipline check on this to see if... I want to see if there's something suspicious, but if it's...
I mean, do you want to roll against his deception? Is that what you're saying you want? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So what's your discipline then against a deception check?
2 red, 1 purple.
That's including any additional things?
That is.
Okay. You believe very, very firmly that he believes this is the safest place for them to go right now.
Okay.
So he's not leading you somewhere he doesn't believe is safe.
That will do.
Okay.
We'll go along with it then.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not really... He's not, like... inviting the three of you to come along per se, but he isn't like saying, okay, find your, like find your own safe place, right? Either. So you're all just kind of would be moving along with her and the crowd if you want to stay close to her and the security. Pretty much you're all going then. Okay, so, yep, as you're exiting, okay, one moment. Ooh. As you and all the security personnel and Gideon and Lady Farah are all moving along the riverside, you see some blaster bolts ring out from the direction of the city, or at least from the city streets that you're like avoiding right now. They're seem to be mostly green bolts as opposed to the red bolt that hit Lady Farah. And several of the security personnel get shot down.
That's not good.
Specifically, 3 of them get shot down.
Time to move faster.
Yeah, I would say so.
Just gonna put my lightsaber in hand, but not ignite it yet.
Yeah. So at this point, there would only be the 2 of you, Venata, Farah, Gideon, and 1 security guard left. As you're heading toward you can now see the resort-like building structure. There's a balcony on the higher level and waterfront access for, it looks like enough room for 2 skiffs, probably 1 on each side of a staircase. But otherwise it seems to be very closed off, only a few windows, and based on its positioning, you would find it surprisingly, looks like it's surprisingly easy to defend. So Gideon's thought process on that appears sound.
Alright, he's earned some admiration from Sid.
So, yeah, as we go back over to Zura and Castum. Castum, you basically poke your head out of the water in the marshland-like area due to trees and ground cover kind of mixed in with the water. You are able to kind of, the water will always be like a bit below your knees, but you're able to sort of stand up rather than have to swim. And yeah, so what do you do once you arrive?
I guess I clearly don't know exactly where, but I guess I'm gonna try and see if I can find where the Nautilin went.
Okay.
Or was looking for, too.
Okay. 4 red, 2 black on the perception check.
Hmm.
2 strain. And Zura, you would arrive with the skiff at this point.
Actually, quick question. Either of those blacks environmental? Because technically,
yeah, they were
Okay.
due to darkness. So
I actually succeed then. Cool.
So yeah,
With
you're
one
right.
less strain.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you only take one strain and you succeed. Zura, you would arrive at that point. Castum, you would notice where the Nautilin is. He seems to be. He's obviously kind of dripping wet due to swimming, but he seems to be kind of sneaking around, kind of shifting through the moss. But you do catch a sign of him. Do you call Zura's kind of over to be with you, or do you go by yourself?
I go by myself because she still needs to find the shooter, and he's clearly not the shooter as he's just recently got out of the water
Yeah.
and isn't holding a blaster rifle that can shoot that far away.
You wouldn't be able to tell if you were or weren't.
Oh, well,
There's also some, with the way the ground is, it's easy. It'd be easy to drop one and not see it anywhere.
fair, but I'm assuming that it's that the shot did the shot happen while he was technically still in the water, like, because the distance he would have to travel.
Based on how long everything took, because remember, Phoenix had his whole like speech bit.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah. The Zura's last attempt to see him was right before Phoenix started talking. So
Okay.
good few minutes passed before that shot.
Never mind then. I misunderstood the timing there.
Now, that's not saying the Nautilin did it, just that the Nautilin
Yeah.
could have done it.
Yeah, I'm starting to, for some reason, suspect that he's on our side. He's with Gideon. But I still want a stealth check. And I guess I will say I did find the Nautilin, but keep trying to see if you could find where that shot came from, because I'm not entirely sure it was the Nautilin.
Okay, Zura, what's your reaction to that comm from Cass? As you would, like I said, the skiff would reach the marsh area and you'd be able to get off if you wanted.
Just calm him back. Understood. Then Zura will look, is that skiff driver still on it?
Well, he didn't jump off.
Just look at him. Alert the authorities. 2 Jedi are currently investigating. You best get out of here. And Zura will jump off and
Okay.
try to find where that shot possibly could have come from.
Okay. Survival check against... Four purple, 2 black. And yeah, you see the skiff driver nod and listen and then take off really quickly.
I just realized that was a mildly important question. I probably could have asked better than, can I see a spot? Can I do a warfare check? Well, I mean, you have to be trained in those to do the checks, right? Never mind.
You can always attempt it, it's just you're kind of working off things you might have
Yeah.
heard versus what you know.
Yeah, I was gonna be like, oh, can I do a warfare check to see if I could find a spot or see a spot that would be preferable for taking a shot like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say you'd be able to determine that. And that's basically what Zura's going to be figuring out anyway, with survival.
Yeah, would let's see. I don't think Planet Mapper would come in because it's not navigation. I'm really trying to do. Would Expert Tracker remove one of those black?
Yes.
All right, so 4 difficulty, 2 black. I can remove a black.
Okay, 1 strain. So Astum, as you're searching around and following the Nautilin, you can tell that it appears the Nautilin is looking around for something too. Like, he seems to be he's moving very slowly. He's trying to, like, see, what's your stealth, Castum?
4 yellow and 6 blue.
Mm-hmm.
He was able to get rid of 4 of those? Wow.
Well, they're not all added, but yes. I don't always do boosts to setbacks 1-to-1.
Oh.
But he was able to
Oh,
remove...
if it matters, I also have indistinguishable. I know that probably doesn't
I
matter.
I feel like you can be distinguished between a tree and you.
Oh, no, see, that's where you're mistaken. I'm a bug.
A bug in clothes.
I'm just a really big bug.
I'd say indistinguishable would apply in like a crowd setting, obviously.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the despair will be you notice that he notices you, but he does see you. And he seems to react fairly quickly and pulls a blaster pistol from the front of his outfit that he's wearing and is pointing it in your general direction.
Hands up, just straight up. Are you looking for the shooter?
And he kind of squints at you, the folds of his face going around the fish eyes, and says, "How do I know I'm not looking at the shooter?"
Because I was still on the skiff when the shot happened.
You were on the skiff?
Yeah, followed you. You were the one that was being suspicious in my eyes. Quote unquote eyes.
He seems to be looking you up and down, trying to determine if he believes you. Because you were
I'm
stealthed
going-
on the skiff, so he wouldn't
Yeah,
have known you
yeah.
were there.
I'm going to like have both my hands up, but I'm going to I'm gonna show you something. I'm not even gonna touch it, but I am going to move what bit of my clothing I can to show the lightsaber that is, I mean, not entirely supposed to be identified as a lightsaber easily, but you know.
He moves a little bit close. He moves like he's trying to get cover, kind of with a tree, but keeping his pistol up, he sort of nods slightly and says, "Even if you're not someone good who uses that, I suppose you would have used it rather than a rifle." You have something I can call you?
Cass. You?
Gam. You see him kind of looking out and shifting and moving. I haven't seen any sign since the shot.
Me either, but I have a teammate who's coming to help. See if we can find this person.
Speaking of which, Zura, as you're climbing and looking around, you're eventually able to find the spot where the shot was likely fired from. You can see it's just the slightest bit of scorch marks around a couple of leaves. And the leaves are what you think might have obstructed a shot, if there was any obstruction. Otherwise, you don't really see any sign, though, of the shooter. And you also notice that the water seems disturbed around the area you're in.
Taking a wild shot in the dark. I'll take out my energy bow and just like scan the area around me real quick through the sonic scope to see if there's like anybody hiding behind any solid material. Maybe I'll think it would work in the water, but we're just gonna look just around me real quick.
Okay.
Haven't you ever heard of sonar?
Four red, and 2 black.
This perception.
Yep. Get a boost due to what you're doing.
So I get 2 boosts?
I said you get a boost for what you're doing. So if you already get a boost, then also
yeah.
that.
All right.
But
I get 3 just on standard perception, but I don't know what I'm looking for, so I don't get one from the goggles. But I get one for what I'm doing, so there's a chance.
you see 2 figures. One you quickly recognize to be Castum, and him talking to somebody. The best guess you have. That's all you can find around you. Castum and the one now known as Gam.
Calm cast. I see you over there. I found the shooting location. And Sir just kind of step into the water where it was disturbed to see how deep it is, and just keep looking around.
If you step far enough, you would be fully submerged. There's a lot of little inlets of water, bunch of little mini rivers that run through the marsh area.
I'm just gonna come. Where are you?
I'll just get. It's kind of hard to tell, but like I'll just give him like my relative position. Like if I can see him, like if I'm on his left, I'm on his left.
Yeah, it'd be about like a dozen meters to the right, basically.
Yeah, give him that.
And then I'll just look to Gam and be like, "We have something," and then point the direction where Zura said she is.
Okay. Then yeah, as the 2 of you head over there, and the others arrive at this safe house-like location. Talia and Sid, and you, Venata, Farah, and Gideon. The guard is kind of staying out on the edge, the only one really in view of anyone outside at this point. Allow you all to come in. And you see, based on some stuff, that the reason Gideon probably knew of this location is he's staying here. You see him use an access card to get in.
Of course, the fancy guy would have a waterfront property.
So long as it's secure.
Yeah, you see him relock it after all of you have come in. And, Lady Farah just kind of slumps down in the first place one can.
What are all the ways?
Oh, sorry.
Sid walked into him. What are all the ways in? Windows, doors. What do we need to secure?
There's a locked service entrance below, and the way we just came in. And he looks up at he also, in response to the windows thing, you just see him look up, and basically it's a bunch of skylight-like things, and because it's the only building around, even the trees aren't nearby, they'd have to be really creative to get through those.
Gotcha.
You'd be dealing with kind of climbers with tools at that point, or jetpacks. All of which would be fairly noticeable.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any weapons here?
Due to his sunglasses like things over his face, you don't see the look in his eyes, but you do see one of his eyebrows poke up above the edge.
Blasters, blaster pistols, swords.
You see him shift
Maybe
his jacket a few times, like he's straightening it, and as he's kind of straightening it, you briefly see a pistol in his jacket. Otherwise, he just responds to you with, no weapons here. You can't tell if he was intentionally showing you or not.
Sid kind of face palms and looks to the security member who made out with them. What about you? Do you have any still weapons on you?
He's still outside. He's by the door he's at the one door to go outside that Gideon used the security thing to get in.
Of course.
So it's just the five of you in here. Lady Farah, Gideon, and two of you and Venata.
Yeah, I think at this point, Talia's gonna go to Lady Farah and see if I can't help her anymore with that wound of hers, and kind of looks up to Sid like, if you're so worried, you can just take my lightsaber.
Tend to be of the belief that Jedi should have the lightsaber.
I can punch hard enough.
Venata is not armed.
Yeah, outside the van brace, the Sid wouldn't be either.
Yeah. So it
Well,
sounds
worst
like you
case,
guys
you can
have.
take a,
Sounds like you have Gideon's pistol and about it. Outside of what
Take a-
Talia has.
yeah, take a page out of Kadas's old book and find a hammer.
Yeah, Sid's gonna look around for some improvised weapons.
And pretty much would be the candlestick variety.
A candlestick in the safe room will do.
Or a vase. That's pretty much what you're working with here. And as you're Sidani, as you're looking for an appropriate candlestick to grasp, Gideon would just be walking behind you, basically saying, "Must you be so crass?
Must you be so ill-armed?
I am more than capable of handling myself. I would think a daughter of the Jedi Queen would herself be more prepared.
Sid's eye kind of twitches at that. This isn't exactly a fortress, you know.
I think you could do worse.
Let's hope that doesn't happen tonight.
You managed to find a candlestick that doesn't look like it'll break in before you even hit somebody with it. Yes,
And
you may,
for this,
Talia.
For the candlestick, would this be using brawl or melee?
Oh, it's melee because of improvised weapon. Yeah. It would be a small improvised weapon. It's +1 damage and 1 encumbrance.
That would do.
Okay. So
Actually,
yes,
she would, if it's +1, she'll hand it to Vanara since it would be the equivalent of her Vambright blade. So now we at least have everyone but Lady Pharaoh armed, kinda.
okay. Talia, you may make a medical check.
Any difficulty on that?
1. Waiting for you to ask. Okay. She's clear now. But yeah, so Talia would be working on Lady Farah. Banada would be looking at the candlestick kind of awkwardly.
We're making do.
She just looks at you like, okay. Gideon.
Sid just kind of shrugs.
Oh, sorry.
No, Sid just kind of shrugs.
Gideon would speak more loudly and say, "Now we don't know if they will pursue us any further."
Oh look, an optimist.
Out there, they had the element of surprise and distance.
And in here, they have the element of having us outnumbered with guns and weapons.
They would be at a tactical disadvantage the whole way through. And he's getting closer to you as he's saying it, kind of argumentatively.
They're armed. They can be at a tactical disadvantage when we're using candlesticks.
And she is using a candlestick, yes.
I have a few surprises up my sleeve.
I noticed.
Well, I'm glad you're not completely useless. Do you have any way to contact potential help, extra security, reinforcements?
If he isn't a great fool, I assume that is what our friend there has already been taking care of.
Good, good. And how long should we expect to wait here?
Oh, you are welcome to stay overnight if you feel that much discomfort. I'm staying here alone. And as you look around, this place is...
Stay here before help comes.
I'm sorry, you and I were talking at the same time. I didn't understand anything you said.
And how long, to kind of correct him, how long before we should expect help to arrive?
Given the distance of the city, I imagine an hour, maybe two. Depends on how quickly he made contact and if they are intending to search for the killer of their comrades before coming to support us. So as you are looking around the room, in response to what he had said about him being the only one staying here, you notice that the room is fairly large and that this place probably has a few rooms in it, so if he's staying in this place alone, he probably had to buy out multiple shared listings.
Interesting.
Much like he did with the skiff.
Not fond of sharing your property, I see. I just really like quiet reading spaces.
Privacy on excursions is something that I appreciate.
Sid kind of shrugs. I think at this point she's going to just in general walk around the various rooms as a kind of perimeter check.
Yeah, you would see this place. It's, again, kind of a resort-like, hotel-like situation where everything's furnished, everything's taken care of. As you're looking around, basically everything he said or you've noticed to this point is true. There's really no other way in except the kind of service area, which is already locked down.
All right. Out of curiosity, is there any sign of artworks?
A few.
All right.
Mostly in the main area where you had initially arrived in.
Gotcha. All right. She'll return to the group. Begrudgingly confirm that the place is currently secure. Well, maybe not too begrudgingly, but just, okay, yeah. He speaks the truth. We are relatively safe here.
Other than being important, is there any other reason you could think of that someone would want you dead, Lady Farah?
Dead? No. I recently helped negotiate some deals through these sectors. Maybe not everyone appreciated it. Wouldn't imagine any would go so far as to kill me, though.
Are you sure that's it? Simply negotiating some trade deals doesn't seem grounds for getting shot at.
Before she can say anything else, you would just hear Gideon speak loudly, clearly having heard you, and says, People have died for less.
I am aware of that, Mr. Gideon, but I don't believe I was asking you at the moment.
Across this way in art and exports are a very high value and often carry a very significant import tax associated with most places, or rather an export tax, but Lady Farah knows more about that than I. Any who were previously making credits off the trade would find their profit margins cut significantly, and if Lady Farah were no longer around, they probably could renegotiate deals that would be more advantageous, more than offsetting the credit cost associated with having her killed.
Well, once more, you put my words back in my place. It's probably the best reason, I suppose.
The simplest often are.
And when help finally does arrive, will you two be alright?
And you see kind of Lady Farah look up at this toward Gideon as well, and he says, yes, I am sure they will ensure her safe travel back to her residence.
Talia just kind of nods and leaves it at that. Gets up to keep an eye on things.
Yeah, Venata would just kind of join Talia, just making sure everything's okay. And Lady Farah just kind of lays down to rest, kind of get over the shock. Leaving Sidani alone with Gideon once more.
All right. Well, lucky you have this safe house.
Interesting phrasing.
It's secure. Might as well call it what it is, at least for now.
I didn't say you were inaccurate. And he gets closer at this point to you. Says, while I do not hold the same affection for Lady Farah that I believe she holds for me, I do care about her safety. Safety of this world. But I also must admit a great curiosity in your being, and would like to make a request, if you would allow.
What's the request?
There are very few people who would have the pull or the interest in doing this. If it intrigues you as much as it intrigues myself, I would like to investigate it further with you.
Sid, kind of puts it, Sid kind of cocks an eyebrow at him You are expecting me to investigate. Quite honestly, I don't think I could stop you from investigating this regardless.
I'm disinterested in working alone. Perhaps I was wrong as to your intentions. If so, I apologize.
I'm as curious as you are as to who's behind this. What resources do you have for an investigation?
My understanding of people and my knowledge of this level of life, something I imagine even your sister would not be able to rival. Hardly yourself.
Sid gives him a bit of a dry look.
I watch the hollows. You were discovered on a witch's world. You hardly know about this level of life. Your sister holds no interest.
Well, you're not wrong that we would need a guide.
I can.
Where would you recommend we begin? Assuming, of course, I'm willing to accept your help.
Well, first we must ensure Lady Farah's in no danger. That'll give time for me to reach some contacts and find out more.
Sid gives him a smile. Well then, what are you waiting for?
Gives you a confused look.
If you need to talk to your contacts, you might as well go ahead.
I cannot reach them by comm or hollow. Must wait until I can go into the city tomorrow.
See, whole building all to yourself. Not even a good comm set around. All right. We could benefit from your assistance in the investigation.
And it'll be my pleasure to assist in aiding Lady Farah and to learn more about your esteemed highness.
Sid gives him a polite smile and will hold out a hand to shake on the agreement.
He gives a very tight, but simple shake.
All right, and if there's nothing else, Sid will find an ambush point close to the door, and will get her van brace ready in case anyone tries to come through.
Okay. And with that, we will venture now away from Rossaswai to the world of Aethys, where we had last left Sol and Grumblock in a ruined chamber in the midst of combat with both Arcos Vane, who appears to be an ex-Imperial Knight, and the mysterious Revenant and his accomplice, Kerry. But as Arcos leaps to a stormtrooper transport and a paratransports open fire into the ruined chamber, Sol and Grumblock, you and Ray would hear the voice of Darren calling out to you. Hurry! This way! And you see a half-collapsed doorway where he's calling and waving out to you from the two droids, his droid Lucky and Ray's droid Scorch, nowhere to be seen. You can tell by the way that the collapsed doorway is set up that it might be able to be collapsed further.
Don't have to tell me twice. Sol would look at Grumblock, does it, and just ask, "Can you move on your own?"
I am still capable of moving, little one.
Yeah. If Sol and Grumblock are gonna retreat toward where Darren is, Ray will follow. Revenant and Carrie are currently basically they both moved behind different kind of collapsed pillars, trying to avoid the blaster fire currently raining out.
Are they also in danger of being trapped in here, or they look like they're in a safe bit? A safe-ish bit, I suppose.
They appear to be safe unless the stormtroopers, like, drop down in, probably.
Okay.
You don't know yet if
then
they'll
just
try.
before...
You don't know if they'll try to follow you.
Grumblock will yell out to them. I have no desire to continue this fight. I suggest you retreat to a safe location, as I shall. And I'm just going to force leap towards Darren.
Okay. Go ahead and roll the force dice. Short hop,
Wow.
and then you run the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Sol, I assume you follow.
Yeah, but following Grumblock, Sol one last time, like before he enters, yells at Revenant, "If you care about Rey and her training, then come with us. If she doesn't want to go with you, and you don't want her with me, then come to my ship."
As you look out, you see the armored form of Revenant basically behind one of the pillars, lightsaber hilt in hand, but not active. You see him clearly catching his breath. You're pretty sure he heard you, though there is enough noise from all the blaster fire that you may not have heard every word at the distance you would have been yelling at.
Yeah.
You're even less sure about Carrie, who's kind of in a similar position, though she does have her lightsaber basically above her head and is blocking some shots that kind of arc close.
Physically, I'd probably be pointing towards the like my arms extended out, like this way kind of motion.
Yeah, Ray is definitely giving you kind of a. She's seems like her discomfort has been growing throughout this whole like encounter in this chamber, and is just looking at you like, "What are you doing? Come on!" kind of expression and body movements.
Yeah. With her hesitation, he just sort of points, follow Grumblock. I'm right behind you.
Trust
Okay.
in the Skywalker, little one.
Make a leadership check with a boost against 3 difficulty. Or sorry, 2 red and a purple, my bad. I thought she had cool. I was confused for a second. Okay. Okay, 1 strain, but she seems frustrated but listens and runs off toward Grumblock and Darren. You see a Revenant move from basically one pillar to the next, trying to get to where he's close enough to you. Yeah, and as soon as he's kind of within short range of you, you hear him call out to you. I don't trust you, Skywalker.
I wouldn't want you to without me earning it. But I'd rather not leave you here when we have an escape route, but I can't hold it much longer.
Do you wish to convince him? Do you wish to actually... Do you want him to come with you?
Yes. It's probably going to be, I'm going to try it once. If this doesn't work, then I'm going in, collapsing it, and just leaving.
Right.
Because I'm not going to put Grumblock and them at risk for having another debate.
Okay, 3 red and a purple on charm or leadership, depending on which you would feel more appropriate. And you get a boost regardless.
Interesting.
Was that with the boost?
Yeah. So 2 advantages.
Hmm. And is it charm or leadership oriented?
It was charm.
I don't trust the family Skywalker, but if you give me your word as a Jedi, then I will go with you.
You have it from everything that I am. That you can trust.
You see him kind of touch his helmet for just a moment, and Kari kind of reacts at the distance she's at, and the 2 of them begin running.
If they're doing that,
toward you.
like, I'm going to quick draw my blaster and start firing at the troopers for cover fire. Like, not aiming, just random, just firing as many directions as possible at them.
Okay. Yeah, so the two of them run over to the opening, and just as they both get through it, and Soul, so now you're the only one on the other side.
Yeah, I would back up while firing until I can get in there to collapse it with my saber.
Okay.
Unless
Yeah.
something I can just kick to collapse it, whatever. However it
Well,
is.
actually, as soon as you would get across the line, you'd hear Darren yell out, "Okay, go!" And you see Scorch and Lucky knock over several rocks and small little pillars that seem to have been set up by them, and as they all hit the wall begins collapsing down in.
Yeah. So I'll just nod at the droids and great job, guys. And just start following after.
Yeah. Lucky floats down to where you all are, and Scorch rolls.
This has been an interesting adventure. I don't believe we've been formally introduced. Gromlock's going to hold out a very large hand to the Revenant and Kari.
Kari kind of extends her hand out to kind of touch it more than take it. Clearly doing it on behalf of Revenant. Revenant shows no interest in extending out. And he says, I'm Kari. This is Revenant. And you see her kind of... You could tell she doesn't appreciate the name as much as he does.
I am curious about your Force tradition, but I do not believe now is the time to question. Perhaps later we can discuss your philosophy on the Force.
You see her kind of try to fix her hair slightly, kind of pull it back behind her ears, the red, kind of mixing the red hair with a little bit of dirt and dust that had fallen on her and trying to knock it out. And she nods, seemingly curious herself. Revenant seems a lot less interested and kind of makes a half grunt kind of sound and seems to have his attention almost entirely focused on Soul and Ray. Ray pulls back just enough to not be close to Revenant before saying to Soul, "What are you doing?"
Teaching.
He tried to kill me. He tried to kill you. Repeatedly.
And yet he trusted enough even against his own instincts to follow. So we should grant him the same. When he tried to remove me from the situations, he never tried for a killing blow.
How do you know he's not just taking this chance to get a clean moment?
I believe I've been unconscious around him enough to know he's not here to kill me. And just sort of smirks at her.
Maybe not you.
He has fear of the future and fear of how our roles could play into it. Perhaps seeing and being around us could quell those fears, as well as we could learn from what he has to offer.
And she gets an almost hurt expression on her face. You believe him? You believe I'm dangerous?
I believe that he believes it. The future is not set in stone, it's always changing. Perhaps having him come with us is changing it already.
Until you found me, I failed pilot did scavenging a desert for parts. I didn't even know what this, and she kind of just puts her hands out like the Force ? Was until you showed me, until you saved me from him.
And I'm asking you to trust me.
You see her kind of clench her cybernetic hand for a moment. Give you a bit of a not quite angry, but very unhappy look, and then kind of storm off away from you toward the only other way out of the room that is apparent.
Assuming at this point, we probably hear the troopers trying to get through the rubble, or they just not to, or they just.
Yeah, you heard the blaster fire stop actually, so you don't know if they're still out there or not. You can faintly hear what still sounds like engine sounds, so the ships are probably still there.
Yeah, Saul just sort of says out loud to everybody, like, we have a lot to discuss with everyone, so perhaps we worry about getting to the ship and through these drop ships first. And then Saul start moving through.
Yeah, Darren says, I think I know these ruins well enough to get us away out. Let's hope they haven't seen any of our ships.
I have faith in your navigation, Darren.
I have faith in Lucky.
Lucky just kind of beeps and floats. And he just rolls his eyes and says, "Don't do that. His ego's big enough. Don't." And then he just turns and he moves in the direction Ray already walked off in. And just says, "This way."
Saul nods and will follow.
Grumlock will hunch over and follow.
Yeah, and once you go through this walkway, it actually drops down a bit, like it was kind of a collapsed floor that went down into a lower area, so it's actually pretty high ceilings, so Grumblock won't have to slouch like he was in most of the other hallways.
It is a shame they never consider the Dowutin when designing these buildings.
Most people are only focused on their own species when building things, unfortunately.
I doubt the Sith
Regrettable.
had much for personal comfort. You hear the Revenant say as you're like sliding down.
This is true. Most Sith disciplines are rather Spartan in their application.
There's combat strategy implications of having more room for a powerful species to move around in. Not just comfort.
If none were on their side, they would want it restrained and difficult.
Very good point.
Very closed-minded.
Most Sith are.
Soul just remains quiet, but sort of gives it like, yeah, screw the Sith. Like we all hate them. Like just more of like, yeah, let's all focus on those people and not everyone in the room.
Sometimes I forget that your species only lives for 70 or 80 years. Have you ever encountered a true Sith, Skywalker?
Not in my lifetime, just stories. And those who claim to be, but are not really.
If they were smart, they would stay extinct.
The galaxy is a better place without their presence.
That won't stop them from coming back, you hear Kari say.
Also won't stop people standing in the way of their ambitions either.
Regrettably, this does seem to be the nature of this galaxy. Conflict and war. Ari and I tried to find a different path, yet we have not succeeded.
The balance between life and death must be maintained. Old life must die for new life to grow.
Another regrettable truth. At least for you, short-lived beings.
But only physically, as we will move on to the Force.
I have no intent of joining the Force soon.
Your every statement makes me ever more curious, Revenant.
I feel the Force calling me every time I make a decision.
The Force is a tool. You can speak to it, through it, but ultimately you must decide its hold over you and your control over it.
Soul just nods. And what do you say to that, Grumbler?
This is a very utilitarian point of view of the Force. Much like the Imperial Knights.
With exception to the one you encountered here. The Imperial Knights feared the dark side, just as the Jedi do. We do not.
Soul is gonna try to catch up to Ray as they're debating. This is getting too philosophical for him.
Yeah. As you do, you would see Darren's clearly trying to talk to her, and she's clearly too annoyed to listen. So you see him at this point. He's basically talking to Lucky, but you can tell he's asking Lucky the questions he would be asking her. It's just clear she ain't listening. So seeing you approach, he kind of pulls back to give you some space with her.
Soul just, after catching up to her, just he picks up like a rock and dusts it off and sort of holds it out like memento of another great adventure.
I have enough of those.
Ah, but this one is special.
How so?
And Soul sort of like starts cleaning up. Is like, you have to imagine what's inside of it. With few tools, it could be a great statue of this hidden inside.
I don't hold such talent. I fly, I shoot. If I knew where I came from before Tatooine, I'd say I'm a soldier.
It's a very limiting view.
Sluvki was the artisan, so I just got him his parts.
Then we will find the artist within you. Everyone can't be one thing.
How about
More to-
anything?
You're harsh on yourself, but you would not have came with me originally if you did not hold at least a sliver of hope. I've seen you care and protect others.
I lost my hand. I hoped traveling with you that the Force or that travels would that I'd figure out who I was. Instead, the Reaper hangs over my shoulder, and you see her glance behind the two of you in the direction of Revenant.
Yeah, returning that glare, Soul just says, death can also be a teacher, not just coming to claim its prize.
I want to know who I am, what I mean. You know why you're here, to be a Jedi, uphold a legacy, to lead. I just know I crashed a starfighter.
then that is my first failing as a teacher. I've been trying to show you how to be a Jedi, but perhaps I need to help you find out who you are first.
Thought a Jedi is who I could be, but
Like I said before, the Force brought us on this journey together, and I don't plan on leaving it.
Force also brought him along.
That is true, which is why I invited him and show him that we can not just live in darkness and make decisions out of fear.
At this point, she stops. You two are enough ahead that it'll take time before anyone catches up to you, but she does get close to you and speaks lowly. I am afraid, so I'm afraid of what he said. I'm afraid of what we're doing. I've done my best to listen to your teachings these months. I've done my best, but it's so much easier on Ossus than here. You see her pull her lightsaber from her belt and hand it toward you. Shouldn't have this.
That you said before you weren't an artist, but you still hold something that you helped make.
Just followed you, followed what everyone else had done.
Like me, you're your harshest critic, that you think too inwardly and you put everything on yourself, that you don't realize the things you've even accomplished. I don't know what the future will hold, or that what Revenant saw won't come to pass, but if that path is already set, would it not be good to have him here to help you with those darker impulses? Because I admit our connection and my feelings might cloud me from that, which is another reason that I wanted him here to benefit from an outside perspective.
Soul? What's your happiest moment as a child?
Probably when me and Talia, there was a time when we heard stories about our grandfather and went and reenacted it in the field and just laughed and looking up at the sky, collapse in the field, seeing this. I believe we played all night until the stars came out.
Stars. Soul, I try to think before Tatooine when I try to go past the wreckage of that starfighter. Stars is all I see. The girl from Tatooine, the scavenger that helped the little guy who made sure she got food. That's all I know.
Then perhaps we should keep discussing this and dive deeper. If we have Grumblock here could help in ways of the Force. Revenant can help with your darker impulses. And I'll help keep the hope alive.
She just kind of grimaces to that. And, He pushes her saber hilt out toward you again.
Soul's gonna take it and sort of step forward till they're like, literally like he's almost giving her a hug, and then clips it on her belt. Just sort of gives her a hug.
She accepts it, but doesn't fully reciprocate.
Right now we have enemies, so clear your mind and we can try to focus on this as soon as we get back on the ship. I promise.
She just nods and starts moving again since everyone else is catching up. Darren's clearly been waiting for the two of you to finish talking. He isn't too far ahead.
Yeah, so I'll kind of give him a nod, like, yeah, you can chatterbox away now.
You kind of see a look on his face, like, kind of, he wasn't trying to overhear, but he definitely heard things said, and it seems like it's kind of put him in a downer mood as well. So he just kind of, you see him kind of skipping rocks and talking quietly with Lucky as you're all walking through the caverns. And we'll well, kind of ruins, cavernous ruins, I should say. But as we kind of fade away from them, we'll go outside to the ships where Arcos Vane is walking, his red and black armor gleaming. He fixes his blonde hair. He takes the gauntlet off and kind of seems to have almost a sigh of relief as he does so, and sets it on a stand within the troop transport. I need more assistance. Take me to Manon now. And you see a couple of the trooper pilots move and seem to head toward the front of the transport. Others are calling them away so the transport can close up. And you see him looking out and a viewport down at the ruins below, and says, "Next time we meet, I will not lose. And that is all for now. We will be back with more Destiny of the Force soon.